many years, and I retired to go and take on this job. And this is the kind of job, which is the director of scholarships, that is more like a calling. So it's like Eloise herself called me up one day and said, well, it wasn't actually Eloise, it was my boss, but you know, she had passed, but I felt this calling from Eloise, that she was somehow, you know, where she was, just said she wanted me to do it. Because I feel very fortunate and very lucky to be in this position. And anybody, you know, could have been called, but I got called, and so I knew that I was prepared to do this work. And I wasn't scared to take on this job. And even for the past 4 years, I've continued to do it because I really love the work. It's a lot different from admissions, and now I'm working in scholarships. I thought it would be easier to give out money. People would just take the money and then that'd be it, and I'd go on to the next group. But it's not as easy as it would seem, even though I might make it look easy. No. It's rather difficult because students, first of all, not all students are applying. Not all students know about it. And then the students that do apply, you know, might not apply on time, or they might have forgot to put in something that they needed to put in, and so they don't get selected. And then students who get selected don't complete the process. So then we have to take the money back, or they weren't eligible. So there's all these reasons why, you know, giving out money is not that easy. And, but the main reason I think that we don't get as many applicants as we would like to have is because a lot of people don't know about us yet. And so I understand that you guys have been studying Eloise Cobell and the life of Eloise. You guys see the movie, 100 Years? I just recently saw it too. And so I just feel like it's in Eloise's best interest and for us to carry on this legacy that she herself started. And so as a director of scholarships, it's my job to make sure that the whole processing goes smoothly, that when we have scholarships come in, those get processed, those get read and reviewed, and those are scored by reviewers, and then we select them. Once we select them, we make them an offer. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about that process today, and then give you some time to answer some questions. So next slide. Okay, so you guys already know about we might skip through some of these, about the settlement, right? And that the scholarship fund comes with a $60 million endowment. We've been giving away about $4 to $6 million a year in scholarship funds to about 750 to 850 students. This year we're on schedule to possibly give about 1,000 students scholarships. So go on. These are more terms of the scholarship settlement, and the education fund is overseen by the Board of Trustees. The $60 million is not actually in our office. It's in an investment account, and we just draw money down from the interest of that $60 million. So the money that we use for operational costs and the money that we're giving to scholars, we just ask the Board of Trustees every year for that money. So Eloise, this is just some links. This is a link to her film, or the film that someone made about her. And then these are the links to the articles that you guys may have read already. But when you apply to the scholarship, we're going to ask you questions and ask you to relate what you've read to your response. You know, so we'll get to some of those questions in a bit. But those are the links to the 2 articles, and they're on our website. And the creation of Indigenous Education, Inc., we were created as a nonprofit organization out of Albuquerque specifically to administer the $60 million. There's about 38 students in Oregon that are getting awarded this year. We would like to have more, so you know, really encourage all of you to apply. And if you do apply, you could get offered for the full academic year for next year, your first year in college. And then once you start college, you would just have to reapply every year. We also offer scholarships in the summer. So that's some of the money, about the money and the students that we're administering scholarships to. And so wherever you go to school, as long as it's a nonprofit institution, and you, on the cards that I gave you, the eligibility requirements are on the back of that card. The IEI mission, we were created, like I said, just specifically to develop you as a student in college, to give you a full scholarship experience, right? We don't want to be one of those organizations that just gives you the money and then we go away, or you go away. We want to be able to interact with you, to engage with you, to help you to grow, continue to grow throughout your college years so that you can realize your goals for yourself. That's our mission. How many of you have been to this website yet? Cool. All right, so this is the first page of our website, and you would apply here or check your status. But you do need to create an account for yourself first. That's called the general application. Once you create that account, and you should do it in your senior year, you can create an account. Then every time after that, you would go to check status, and you would log in with your username and your password. And when you're an applicant in the pool, the screenshots that will come up will tell you what your status is. Submitted means you submitted an application. We also have a category called verified. That means that your records have been verified. Then there's award distribution and process. That means your check is getting ready to send. And then when it says awarded, that means your check has been sent. So you don't have to continue to, keep calling us to ask what your status is. You can actually check this online. And there's a lot more information on our website. So this is the list of our scholarships. The two that would apply to you, or three actually, would be the top one is if you're pursuing a vocational degree. Let's say you went to a vocational school or even a community college, Blue Mountain Community College, you decided you wanted to pursue a degree that's going to train you for a specific job. Welding, plumbing, some nursing programs, graphic arts, cosmetology. Any of those degree certificate programs that trained you just for that specific job, you could apply for that year-round. So if you were starting in the summer, you could apply for that for the summer. If you're starting it in the fall, you would apply for it for next fall. And there's dates around when you should apply. And then the undergraduate scholarship, sorry about, just ignore that note. It somehow got cut and pasted to my PowerPoint. It was a note to my fellow board member. I'm on the Board of Education for Acoma. Anyway, Larissa's supposed to sign and upload the form. Any of you know Larissa. Anyway, so this one, this is the one that most of our students apply to, the undergraduate. You're going to get your associate's degree or your bachelor's degree. You're a senior now, and you're going to apply for school for next fall. It opens December 15th. So this is why you can, if you're a senior now, you can create that profile account for yourself. And then on December 15th, you'll get an email that tells you this, that you can apply now for the opportunity. And then the next one might be this undergraduate summer. So let's say you're going to get a head start in the summer, and you want to apply for summer before you go into your fall. That application opens in February. So the undergraduate and the vocational scholarship, you can get up to $6,000 a year. It starts at $5,000, but when you're a returning scholar, you'll get more money the next time you apply and get awarded. And then for the summer, you can get, we've been giving up to $2,000 to offset your cost of attendance in the summer. So those scholarships are split in half. For the academic year, you would get half for fall and half for spring. In the summer, you would get the whole thing. But you have to go through the general app that leads into the opportunity, and there's another slide that leads into the third portion, which is the post-acceptance. I guess it's the next slide after this. But first of all, to be eligible, you have to have a complete application submitted. You have to be selected based on your achievement and the strength of your application. And you're competing against other students. So there's gonna be other students that are trying to get the scholarship too. So you wanna do a good job, right? Not everybody that applies gets funded. But at this point, we still have a lot of extra money left. So we're funding students who are on the wait list right now. So if you don't get funded right away, you could still get funded if you're in the submitted category. And we've been going into that submitted category. This is our 5th time into the pool, dipping into the pool. But that means we just have a lot of money to give, okay? So don't count yourself out, and go ahead and apply, because you could get the scholarship. We want you to be involved in your community. We want to see some leadership or potential to be a leader in your community. Be a role member of a U.S. federally recognized tribe. Be degree seeking in a post-secondary. That means you have to actually be actively seeking a degree, not just casual student taking a class here and there. We want to know what is your goal? What is it, an AA? Is it the BA? Is it the certificate? We want you to be seeking a degree. Do some of you already have a degree seeking idea? Yeah? Yes? Anybody? Yes, I see a nod. Yay. Okay. And you have to be enrolled in a nonprofit institution. Those are any state schools, universities. A school like the University of Phoenix is not a eligible school. It's a for-profit. So you can take classes online as long as it's at a non-profit. So a non-profit means that the money that the university collects for you to go to school there, that somehow gets turned back into helping students. It doesn't create a profitability for anybody at the school. Whereas some organizations or people open up schools to make money, right? So that was the difference between a profit and a nonprofit. But most schools are nonprofit. So especially if it's run by the state or a church or a nonprofit organization. And then you have to demonstrate an unmet need. So I have a little asterisk there by the unmet need, because if you have applied for the FAFSA, how many of you know what the FAFSA is? Wow, that was cool.
I need McKinsey to the office. McKinsey to the office.
Okay, we'll catch up with McKinsey later. So even if you don't have an unmet need or you don't qualify for Pell, the Pell Grant, which is the government grant, you could still be considered for an award. And this year we started making award offers and awards to students who aren't receiving any federal aid, so that you could still be considered. So that's on a case-by-case basis. So these are the steps of the application. Like I mentioned, the first step is to complete the profile. This is personal information and your release of information. We ask you to let us know, let us be able to work with your tribe to get your tribal enrollment. Let us be able to work with your school to get your financial needs analysis verification form. And that's the first part. The second part is that you actually apply to this opportunity. And so a lot of students finish the first part and think they applied. It's because it's called the application, right? So this is the confusing part. It's not actually the application, it's just the profile. You won't get considered unless you apply to the second part. The second part is the lengthy scholarship application that you are matched with, that requires you to respond to some essays, that requires you to complete a recommendation. So do you guys understand that, how these feed into each other? This, if you say you're an undergraduate student or a vocational student, it will recommend you for the things that you said that you were. So then it says, oh, you're a vocational student, why don't you apply for the vocational scholarship? You get that email. Then that email will prompt you to apply for that scholarship. And then, in between here and here is the review. The reviewers come into Albuquerque, they read your applications, and they score them. They 0 through 100 twice. Those two scores are average. So whatever that score is, that's the first batch of students that score the highest that are going to be given a finalist offer. And we'll say that congratulations, you are a finalist for the Cobell Scholarship. You will get up to $6,000 if you successfully complete this. This is the third part, right? So sometimes students somehow miss this part and they don't do this part. And so it comes in 3 parts. So that's the confusing part. Students didn't know I was supposed to do that, or didn't know I was supposed to do this. All they did was that. And so they want to know, what's the status of my scholarship? Well, you don't have an application in here. All you have is a profile. Oh, you have an application, but you didn't accept it. You didn't do this part. Okay, so when you do all 3 parts, the last part is we check, you have to upload your transcript, right? So everything is self-reported up until then, right? So you told us you had, a 3.0 GPA and that you were gonna go to school full-time. Now we ask for the proof. Say, okay, upload your high school transcripts, and we give you time to do it, and upload your course schedule for the fall, for your college course schedule. Okay, so when you're applying, when we ask you questions about how many credits you've earned towards your degree, as a freshman, you're gonna have 0, because you haven't earned any credits yet towards your degree, unless you're taking college courses simultaneously. Some students go to college while they're in high school. And then we ask you, how many credits does it take for you to get your degree? In most cases, for a bachelor's degree, it's about 120. So these questions are important because we need to determine whether you're a freshman or a sophomore, if you've earned any credit towards your degree, how many credits it takes to earn your degree. Those kinds of the terminology in the application, we try to explain it as much as possible. But whenever you have any questions about any of these 3 parts, you should call us and let us know that you have a question, and we can help answer your question so that you can answer it correctly, so that you get put into the right category, and that we understand, if you don't have a GPA yet, it's because you haven't earned one yet for college. We will check your high school GPA, and we will check to see that you're enrolled full-time in this part. We will also contact your tribe to see if you're an enrolled member. And then they will let us know, yes or no. And if it's no, then we will look at students on a case-by-case basis. But in most cases, your tribe has to say yes, that you're an enrolled member of the tribe. And then the last part is the unmet need. If your school that you're going to, how many of you are considering Blue Mountain Community College? Hands up. Possible? Okay, so the cost of attendance at a community college is less than the cost of attendance at, say, University of Oregon, right? So we would work with both of those schools, and you could tell us, which one you're gonna go to, so that we could send the financial needs analysis form to verify your unmet need. And then, once your unmet need is verified, depending on the cost of attendance and how much resources you have to pay for school, you can get awarded up to $6,000 as an undergraduate. So that's kind of how it works on that part. This is an important part because this is the second part that I was telling you about, what requires you to write responses to these topic areas. And each topic area has sub-questions. And so the first thing we want to know is the choices that you've made, your educational choices. So, you may have come into this school, what grade did they start here? 9th grade. You may have started at 9th grade. You may have started in the 10th grade. Maybe you came from another school. And then maybe you could tell us about that, like some of the choices you made. Maybe they weren't your choices. Maybe they were your parents' choices. Maybe you had no choice. But that's the kind of stuff we want you to tell us about, the details of your educational pursuits, the classes that you've chosen, the classes that you were assigned to. Maybe you had some challenges in making these choices. Maybe there were certain things in your life that made you decide. That's the kind of questions and answers that we are asking you in that part, your educational pathway. And then we want students to become leaders. I think all of us at some time or another, even if it's just for the day, we've led something, right? Maybe it's in your calling to be a leader, or maybe you're in training to be a leader, or maybe it's something that you want to be a leader. But leadership is pretty broadly defined, right? So it doesn't mean, you have to have the title of president or vice president, but it could be that maybe you're a leader in your community, or a leader in your household, or that you're a role model for your siblings, and your cousins, and your cousin's cousin, and your cousin. Anyway, so leadership is broadly defined. Community engagement. Engagement is a really cool word because it asks that you interact with each other. Like right now, I'm getting nothing from you guys. You're not raising hands. You're not like laughing at my jokes. You're just sitting there staring at me. That's not really considered engagement. Like engagement means that you are actively participating in this conversation. And maybe it's because I'm not giving you that opportunity to do that yet. But at some point, if you feel comfortable enough engaging with each other, engaging with your counselors and your teachers, that's considered engagement. Engagement in your community, we want you to tell us about that also. So it could be your school, it could be your home, it could be any type of community is also broadly defined. The vision for your future is how the decisions that you're making now are going to feed into your future. So that the person reading your scholarship application has an idea from you what your plan is, what your goal is. Even if you don't have a plan or a goal, you can say that. I don't know right now. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Right? So just be you, be yourself, be where you are at the time you're applying, in your head, on paper, write it down, and do multiple drafts of this stuff. Right? You may have to edit and do multiple edits to get it just right. But this opens December 15th for you seniors. It's due March 31. And I recommend that you have it done by February. Okay, because what if something goes wrong? What if it doesn't work the night you're trying to, like, on March 31st, you're trying to submit it by deadline? Unfortunately, that's when we get most of our applications, but the readers can tell when you just started it the night before. It's not organized, and it's kind of like jumping all over. Grammatically, it's not correct, kind of rambling, it's not clear and concise. But when you plan and write it in advance and do multiple drafts, it's a more polished, stronger application. There's two other questions that we ask to just get a little bit more about your personality. The first one is that Eloise inspires us with one of her quotes. What what quote by anyone inspires you at this point in your life and why? So even a quote like that, even though we're not necessarily scoring you on the strength of your quote, your response is important because we don't want you to give us like a generic quote, from like, I don't know, Dr. Seuss or Forrest Gump. We want you to actually put some thought into every response. And response to your quote is going to be just as important as your response in your educational pathways. So, the final thing is on this, okay. This is your opportunity to exhibit your personality. Tell the person who is reviewing your application a short but clean joke or humorous story. This is the best part. We really do not score on this, actually, though. But for the readers, and for you, it's sort of a comic relief. It gives you a chance to just not be so serious, not take yourself so seriously. But a time when something funny happens, or a joke. And we've had a lot of students who kind of stressed about this last one because they don't know what joke to put. So they're like, somebody give me a joke. I need a joke. All of these, they might seem simple and easy to answer, but they're not. they require thinking. And they require you to like you could put the joke down in December, and then January you can find another joke and put that one in instead. And then, March, before the deadline, I got a better joke, put that one in. So, give yourself some time to update your applications. This is some reminders, that we do look at your entire application, not just the joke. We look at the entire application, it gets reviewed, it's read by our review team. Michelle's one of our readers, Annie's one of our readers. Although they're not allowed to read your application if they know you, they can tell us a little bit more about the school. They can give us more insight into the community, so that the person who is reviewing it can use that information to fuel their score. Right? So it's good to engage with people so that they know you, and she could say, yeah, I know that student. Excellent leader in our community. That in itself is like a recommendation. So the engagement part comes in handy here when you're engaging with people. Some of the scholarships, especially the returning scholars, are read individually by our office, and they may not go to the review pool. So we might just select the students who are doing well, and they're returning scholars, and just make them an automatic renewal. I mentioned the part about the finalist offer, and if by chance you don't have an unmet need, you're still considered a Cobell Scholar, and we will call you Cobell Scholar or Honorable Mention. So you can put that on your resume, you're still part of our community. Any other opportunities that we have or resources available, we will let you know about them. And everybody who graduates will get a Cobell Scholar pin. So we try to continue interacting and engaging with our scholars every year, even if you're not a scholar. We still want to keep you actively engaged. We do encourage you to reapply too, if you didn't get it the first time. This is our organization, Indigenous Education, Inc. We do more things than just give scholarships. We do some research. We have a bunch of partners that when they have resources, we're trying to connect all of our networks together. Tribal networks, educational networks, institutional networks, and just other organizations, so that we can all be connected. These are some of our scholars. We have a couple people in our office that do some engagement with our scholars. They highlight scholars in all different tribes, all different schools, all different levels of education, and all different majors. So this could be you. This could be all of you. I really want you to be able to have this opportunity to get and be a Cobell Scholar. We also provide information on our scholar demographics. Tomorrow I'll be meeting with some scholars. I know there's a couple scholars in your community at Blue Mountain. We want them to meet each other. If you're at the same school, maybe you can interact or make some friends, and you can be fellow scholars. Interact in our social media, our student spotlights, and just be part of our Cobell community. This is how we highlight some of our scholars on our social media websites. This is the work of one of our associates, Milani Fox, who's in charge of our social media, and she does all of our media print and develops all of this content so that we can highlight Dustin Barr from the Fort McDermott, Paiute, and Shoshone, and Kiana Mayer, she's at Portland. Rosebud and Standing Rock City. She's at the University of Colorado. Changing my glasses. Next. That's just an example of, okay, so here's some final tips, applying advice. Apply early when the opportunity opens. Don't wait for the deadline. Ask a lot of questions. You can email us or live chat us. Be sure to read all the instructions. To check your status and your email often. This was for the pottery class. Respond to reminders in case we're missing documents. Make sure you respond. As long as you're responding to us, we can be forgiving. Even if you're late, respond to us. We can be forgiving. We do try to be understanding with every student, but if we hear nothing, we think maybe you don't want it. And if you're not checking your email, you know, that's like the most important thing, is to make sure that you check your email, and check your spam folder. Sometimes it goes into that folder. Don't forget to renew, every term you renew. If your school is on the trimester system, you have to renew twice. If you're on the semester system, you only have to renew once. So in between terms, we're gonna ask you for your transcripts and your coursework. So at the end of fall, we say, hey, it's renewal time, so submit your spring transcript, or your spring coursework and your fall transcript, so we can just check your grades. And we're doing a lot more work, on our next slide, with our, these are just some additional resources that we have, or some other people that we interact with. Like I said, we're gonna do some closer work with our freshmen and our sophomores. So we're going to be using a program called GradSnap. And we hired a new person, Ashley Pino, in our community, who's going to be interacting with our freshmen and sophomore students to just kind of help you get a better, stronger footing in your first couple years. And these are just some other resource opportunities that we have, that we share with. This is our leadership team, so myself, Dr. Garland, who's the Director of Research and Student Success, and then Melvin Monette, who's Turtle Mountain, who is our president, who started the organization, who works with the Cobell Board of Trustees to pull down that money, and just kind of is leading the way in the path for us to do partnerships, our application process, and anything, decisions that we make is really up to him. This is the rest of our support team. Ashley, who's going to do our GradSnap. We hired Gary Pierce to do our systems coordinator. Julia works with John. They both work on the East Coast. Shay works with our audio and visual coordinator, because we have some media, like YouTube channel and other videos that we do. Milani is our social media communications coordinator. And if you call us on the phone, Mario Ortega is probably the one that will answer the phone, although we're going to be training Ashley to answer the phone too. But all friendly people, all wanting to help. If they can't answer your question, they will send it to me, and I can help answer questions or solve problems. These are just the final reminders. I think I've gone over most of those. Yep, went through all of those. Those are our social media. Are any of you on any of these? Anybody? 1, yay. 2, 3, 4, woo, it's growing, it's growing, right? Okay, that's part of the engagement, even if it's virtual, you know? And I know you guys don't like raising your hands, so I know you all want it. And this is how you would contact us. Like I mentioned, we're in Albuquerque, come visit us. And these are a couple of the campaigns that we're doing called Ingenious.
Yeah, tell them about that.
Yeah, so, and Annie is modeling the Ingenious shirt. So what we do with our scholars, and with anybody in the community, that we consider indigenous people to be ingenious. And so some people have sent in their pictures to us, and we add color to it, a black and white photo, we change it about black and white, change the color, and then we get a quote from them. And so we're trying to, this is called our Indigenous campaign that our communications coordinator is running, so that you can be part of this campaign. And it's mostly through social media, so we ask you to join our social media, to share this information with others, is also part of giving back to your community. And I don't know if you guys have seen this poster before.
We want one.
You got one?
No, we want one.
You didn't get one?
I have one in my office.
Oh, I thought we
Oh,
said.
Annie got one.
Sorry.
No, I
Because they
haven't.
asked me if I wanted to bring posters, I'm like, oh no, they have them already.
But we can get it.
We'll get you one.
Bridget,
So, this is a poster.
the bell is about to ring, but they want to give you some stuff that they.
All right, so this is some time to answer some questions or do anything else you want to do.